You're helpful. You're considerate. People love you for it. But at the end of the day, after you've been present for everyone, after you've said the right things and helped with the right things, you sit down and you feel invisible, like you've been performing a version of you that everyone else needs. And somewhere in all of that, the real you didn't get to show up. If that feeling is familiar, this video is for you, because what you just described has a name, and understanding it might be one of the most important things you do for yourself this year.
People-pleasing sounds like kindness, but it isn't. Kindness is something you give freely without losing yourself. People-pleasing is when your kindness is no longer a choice, it's a compulsion. When saying no feels dangerous. When someone else's discomfort becomes your emergency. Psychology describes this as a fawn response, a survival mechanism the nervous system learned early in life. It looks like kindness from the outside. It feels like anxiety from the inside. Today, 8 specific signs, not to judge, but to give you language for something you may have been living without a name for. Before we go through the signs, think of a specific moment. The last time someone asked you for something, your time, your help, your presence, and you said yes, but something in you didn't mean it. Maybe you felt a flicker of no before the yes came out. Maybe the yes was so automatic you didn't even notice there was a choice. Just hold that moment, because somewhere in that space, between what you felt and what you said, that's exactly where people-pleasing lives.
Sign number 1. You say yes when you mean no. Not occasionally, consistently, automatically. Someone needs a favor that costs 3 hours you don't have. Of course. Someone invites you somewhere you don't want to go. Sure, sounds great. Each yes seems fine, but they accumulate. For people pleasers, saying no doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels dangerous. It triggers a deep fear of rejection, of being seen as difficult, of losing the approval some part of you has learned to need. So the yes isn't generosity, it's protection. And the cost is your own life, lived in service of everyone else's comfort.
Thursday evening, you're genuinely tired. You had quiet plans, just for yourself. And then the message comes. A friend needs help, just a couple of hours. And before you've even finished reading, you're already typing. Of course, what time? You didn't pause. There was no moment of, let me check if I can. The yes was automatic, like a reflex. And as you put the phone down, the quiet evening disappears, along with something harder to name. The sense that what you wanted never even had a chance to matter.
Sign number 2. You apologize for everything. When someone bumps into you, for taking up space in conversation. Before sharing an opinion, sorry, I might be wrong, bud. For having feelings, for needing things. And here's the thing, this kind of apologizing has almost nothing to do with actual wrongdoing. It's a preemptive shield, a habitual way of making yourself smaller before anyone else can make you feel small. Psychologists call this chronic over-apologizing, and it's connected to a deep belief that your existence requires constant justification. You don't have to earn the right to be here.
You're in a meeting. A colleague's idea has a real problem. You can see it. So you say, sorry, I might be completely off here. Maybe I'm missing something, but there might be a small issue. Sorry. 2 apologies. 3 qualifications. 1 valid point buried so deep nobody registered it. Or someone cancels on you last minute, and you say, oh, no worries, sorry if I seem too rigid. They canceled on you, and you apologized. That's not politeness. That's making yourself responsible for everyone else's comfort, including the discomfort of being held accountable.
Sign number 3. You feel responsible for other people's emotions. Not just aware of them, responsible.
When someone near you is upset, it becomes your emergency. When there's tension in a room, your nervous system treats it as a crisis you must resolve before you can relax. Psychology calls this emotional fusion, the loss of clear boundaries between your feelings and someone else's. Here's the truth most people pleasers find difficult to accept. Other people's emotions are not your responsibility. You can care without being the solution. That distinction between caring and fixing is one of the most liberating lines you'll ever learn to draw. Dinner with someone. Everything is fine. And then, a pause that's half a second too long. A response a degree cooler than usual. Most people wouldn't even notice, but you noticed before they'd finished the sentence. And now, without a single word spoken, you're running through every possible cause. Was it something I said? Should I change the subject? Make a joke? You spend the whole evening managing their mood, invisibly, carefully. And by the time you get home, you're exhausted from a dinner that was, by all appearances, completely fine. That hypervigilance isn't empathy. It's a nervous system still tracking for danger, even when you're safe.
Sign number 4. You can't handle conflict, even healthy conflict. It's not that you're passive. It's not that you don't have opinions. It's that the moment you sense possible tension, something shuts down. You start looking for the exit, emotionally. How do I smooth this over? How do I say what I need without anyone feeling bad? And usually the answer is, don't say it at all. Just let it go. But keeping the peace sounds mature, until it isn't. Because when you consistently swallow what's true, you don't eliminate the conflict. You internalize it, and it lives in the body as resentment, as exhaustion, as never being fully seen.
A friend says something that lands wrong. Not catastrophically, just dismissive, like they weren't really listening. And for 1 second there's an impulse. Say something. Then the calculation begins. If I say something, they get defensive. Then there's an awkward moment. Then I manage their feelings about hurting my feelings. Too exhausting. Probably not worth it. Let it go. And you let it go. You smile. You move on. But something got added to the pile of things you've let go of, and the pile gets heavy. And your friend, who would want to know, never gets the chance, because you protected them from the truth, and yourself from the risk of being truly known.
Sign number 5, and this is the one most people don't see coming. You don't know what you actually want. Not in the big sense, in the small, daily, ordinary sense. Where do you want to go for dinner? What do you need right now? When someone genuinely asks, you go blank, or you deflect. Whatever you want is fine. I'm easy. You choose. After years of orienting outward toward what others need, feel, want from you, the channel to your own inner life has gone quiet. Psychologists call this self-alienation, and it's one of the loneliest things a person can experience. To be surrounded by people asking what you want and genuinely not knowing how to answer.
Someone who loves you asks warmly, "What do you want to do today? Whatever you want, we'll do it." And you say, "Oh, I really don't mind. You choose." They press, "No, really, what would make you happy?" And something happens inside you. Not resistance, not shyness, something closer to blankness. You reach for a preference, and there's nothing there. Or something faint, but you immediately second-guess it. Is that what I want, or what I think they want me to want? The layers collapse, and you say, "I'm happy with anything," because it's easier than the confusion of not knowing. But the person in front of you wanted to meet you, the real you, and you couldn't let them.
Sign number 6. You feel guilty when you prioritize yourself. Not occasionally, reliably, almost every single time.
You take a day off and mentally review everyone who might need you. You say no to a request and spend an hour wondering if you were selfish. For people pleasers, self-care doesn't feel like restoration. It feels like stealing. Like you're taking your own time and rest from people who might need it more. Many people pleasers grew up where their needs were deprioritized or associated with consequences. So they learned, earn the right to rest first, everyone else first. But there's rarely anything left. And that guilt, it's not wisdom. It's a very old story that doesn't belong to you anymore. You've finally carved out a Saturday just for yourself. No plans, just rest. It starts well. You sleep in, make breakfast slowly. And then it begins. The checking, the mental scanning. Is there anyone who needs something from me today? Is it selfish to do nothing useful? By mid-morning, without anyone asking anything, you've already half ruined the rest with the guilt of taking it. You pick up your phone and offer help to someone who didn't ask. You spend the whole day unable to fully settle. Here's the truth. Rest is not a reward. It's a need. You are allowed to have a Saturday simply because you're a person, and persons need rest.
Sign number 7. You read the room constantly, and then you adjust yourself to fit it. You walk into a space, and within seconds you've cataloged the energy. Who's tense? Who needs lightening? What version of me is most useful here? And then you become that version. You're extraordinarily good at it. People find you easy. They feel understood. But here's what's happening on your side. You are disappearing. Every time you mold yourself to what the room requires, soften an opinion, hide a mood, perform an enthusiasm you don't feel, you put more distance between yourself and the person actually having your experience. Over a lifetime of adjusting, you can lose track of who you are when there's no room to read.
Think about how you are with your closest, safest friend, the version of you that shows up there. Now think about how you are with a more dominant person, someone with strong opinions, someone whose approval you're unsure of. Are you the same? Or does your voice get softer, your opinions less certain? Do you find yourself agreeing, not because you were convinced, but because disagreeing felt like a risk? The answer for many people pleasers: a different person depending on who's watching. Not out of dishonesty, out of deep, practiced, exhausting responsiveness. The problem isn't adaptability. The problem is when it becomes the only mode, and your consistent self gets lost in all that adjusting.
Sign number 8, and this is where all the other signs lead. You've lost touch with your own identity. Not completely, but in quiet moments. When someone asks what you're passionate about, and you feel a strange blankness before reaching for an answer. When a relationship ends and you realize you've spent so long becoming what they needed, you're not sure who you are without it. The slow accumulation of all those yeses, all that adjusting, all that self-erasure, creates distance between you and yourself. From the outside, you seem fine, successful, liked by everyone. But inside, a sense of performing a life rather than living one. There is someone underneath. There always was. They've just been waiting for permission to come back.
So where does this come from? People-pleasing isn't a flaw. It isn't weakness. It's a strategy. A survival strategy learned in childhood, in environments where being yourself felt unsafe. Maybe conflict at home was frightening. Maybe you were praised for being easy and good, and ignored when you had needs. Maybe you learned that being invisible kept things calm. The fawn response, the people-pleasing trauma pattern, is as real as fight or flight. And it worked. It may have kept you safe. The problem is you're still running it, in situations that aren't dangerous, with people who aren't threatening. What protected you then is costing you now. Not because you're broken, but because the strategy never got updated.
Here's what I want you to take from this. People-pleasing is not your personality. It is a learned response, installed by experiences you didn't choose. And because it was learned, it can change. It starts with noticing. The automatic yes before you've checked in with yourself. The apology that appeared before you'd done anything wrong. Just noticing, without judgment. Because the moment you can see the pattern with curiosity instead of shame, you've already taken the most important step. You've put space between the stimulus and the response. And in that space lives the possibility of a different choice. Leave a comment. Which sign felt most familiar? Just the number. Take care of yourself. You deserve that. And I mean it.
Thank you for watching Psychology Briefly. Take care of your mind. Take care of your heart. And remember, learning to put yourself on your own list is not selfishness. It's the beginning of everything. See you in the next one.